Here we are in Barton Upon Humber, the Lincolnshire market town without a market. Here was home to Ted Lewis, and it was around this area that he imagined scenes which he turned into his second novel that became the most famous gangster film, Get Carter, starring Michael Caine. As a boy, he planned adventures with his friends. At the back of this house where he was brought up was their den, Kexby Hall, situated in an old coach house. The banks of the Humber estuary were the youngsters' playground from the age of 12. He used this area as a backdrop for the final gruesome scene in Get Carter. After a successful career as an artistic polymath, Lewis died 30 years later, aged 42. Ted Lewis is part of Barton's Hall of Fame, along with Chad Vara, founder of the Samaritans, author Henry Treece, and inventor of shorthand Sir Isaac Pitman. So the town celebrates the life, art and times of Ted, the father of British gangster fiction, at the Ted Lewis Centre. Let's go in and find out more about Ted Lewis.
Good morning. Welcome to the Ted Lewis Centre. Have you been here before?
Ted came with his parents from Manchester after the Second World War. We spoke to Nick Turner, a close friend of Ted's who had some insights on the man himself.
Ted came to Barton when he was 6 years old, and we lived in the same part of town, the far end of West Ackridge, known then as the West End Estate. We were both 6-year-old, as I say, and we played in the street. We went to the primary school, Barton County School then, and in 1951 we both passed the 11 plus and went to Barton Grammar School. He spent some time with rheumatic fever, I think it was, and he spent a lot of time in bed, and his parents made his friends welcome in the house, and we saw film shows as he projected on the wall of his bedroom.
Ted's father managed a chalk quarry, and young Ted, now a budding artist, sketched these areas and later worked there when on vacation from art college in Hull. Young Ted also loved jazz and played piano in Hull's Unity Jazz Band from 1958. Painting this era in oils for posterity. After achieving a diploma in graphic art and celebrating his 21st birthday in Barton, Ted became a graphic artist. He did not forget his heritage, however.
In the early 60s, Ted Lewis and his friends had started to make careers for themselves. Ted in graphic art, his grammar school friend Neil Ashley in engineering. Neil Ashley bought Highfield House overlooking the River Humber. Not just the River Humber, but the areas where he and all his school friends and others had enjoyed adventures. The kind of adventures that Ted poured into his later novels. Ted Lewis sat in one of the rooms overlooking the Humber, and he painted an iconic picture which hangs today in Neil Ashley's hallway. It's one of the better pictures that Ted Lewis ever painted.
He was later an animator for films such as The Lone Ranger. It was then that he started writing, inspired by his mentor and old grammar school teacher, novelist Henry Treece. His first novel was about life as a student in Hull, but after he married, he felt writing a crime drama would be more profitable. Hence, Jack's Return Home was born, purchased for £10,000, or £140,000 in today's money, as the basis for Get Carter. Here's the original book and the original script. Not only was Ted writing at this time, but he had also managed graphics on the Beatles' Yellow Submarine, hobnobbing in Soho with the Fab Four and many others who adored the area too. Sadly, Ted's marriage didn't last, and he returned to Barton in 1974, where he continued to write the rest of his 9 novels. The last of these was The Dark GBH, where a gangster hides out in a remote bungalow as another gang seeks to take over his business. Some of the scenes are pictured in the centre's heritage outreach. Ted Lewis tragically died early.
1982, much too young.
Yeah.
What a waste. I often think, what would he have achieved had he lived, especially in film, in direction? Because he was knowledgeable. extremely knowledgeable about film, and he could have achieved great things.
Thanks to the Ted Lewis Centre, which makes sure all his books are still published, the legacy of Ted Lewis is well remembered.
I think the Ted Lewis Centre is an admirable, praiseworthy achievement. It celebrates his life and work wonderfully.
There's so much to be said about Ted Lewis, his life, his times, but most particularly his art. We've tried to make a comprehensive exhibition and ensure it's entertaining for everybody. We have his full archive and most particularly all his books and the translations. So you'd be very, very welcome to come along and visit. And we hope you enjoyed this small taster of the Ted Lewis Centre. Thank you so much for watching.
You are very welcome to come and absorb the history of this remarkable and multi-talented artist.